Hello and welcome to Medical Edge. My name is Todd Barnes. This program is produced as a partnership between the Mayo Clinic and the City of Thornton. We hope every episode provides you with valuable health information for you and your family.
All things bright and beautiful in the eyes of these conjoined twins.
When I found out Abby and Belle were going to be conjoined, I was in shock. I was scared.
Doctors say they have to be separated, not just for their quality of life, but for their survival.
We wanted to do some research about where we were going to have them separated. I found Mayo by my dentist of all places. He asked if I've heard about Mayo. I think the next day we called him.
Yep.
And I left a message on their machine.
First I heard was from my secretary, actually. She got a phone call. We get phone calls. Family was calling up and said, you know what? We've heard that you guys do conjoined twins. We're looking for some help. I said, why don't you just stop by Rochester? Let's see what we can do. What you have sounds like something we're pretty familiar with. And you know what? We've got a great team here.
The day after that, we were in Rochester. They wanted to see us right away.
There's a time when mothers and fathers hand their children to us, and they trust us to do our best. It happens every single day in the operating room, and I would say that every single time tears are shed. It's a very poignant, deep moment of trust.
The team led by Dr. Moyer, I think, was very organized from the start. Everybody knew what their role was. And the great thing about the team is I think everybody helped each other.
As for their total care, there are hundreds within the Mayo Institution, from radiology to special lab technicians, the nursing care, and then all of the surgical specialty teams.
We know the task ahead of us. We've rehearsed it. But when you actually see those little girls on the table, and we know it's real, and we know there's no going back, and once we make the incision, we're not stopping, there's a deep, deep breath there, which doesn't really get exhaled for about 12 hours later.
Slowly now, slowly. Okay. Yes. Really?
The very best feeling you can get is that these are normal girls.
Flash, pull your hair. No fear, wiggle your ears.
They are free. They're ready to play, to study, to work. They're wonderful, beautiful, healthy, normal girls. Go to school. They pick apples off the tree. They're fabulous, fantastic, great little girls. And to see that just brings a quiet joy.
After the separation, it was just kind of back home.
It's like our life began.
Yeah, with two healthy girls and like it was supposed to be.
There's times where you sit and you think that this really happened. You want to thank God every day and the Mayo team for making this our happy family 4. It's a miracle.
They got a life to lead ahead of them. They have every opportunity that everybody else does.
He's the nicest doctor ever. He has a weird name. Moyer.
They basically gave us normal, healthy kids like anybody with twins should have. So I wanted to thank them for that.
I just thought that was the way it was. You know, this is my body, this is the way it has to be. Since childhood, Audrey Castletine has struggled with the challenges of weight and overeating. By her mid-30s, she says, grocery shopping had become one of her favorite activities and biggest challenges.
Being in the candy aisle, everything would talk. Before I knew it, I'd have 6 or 7 sweet treats in my bag or my cart.
Try as she might to diet and exercise, Audrey says her obsessive sugar cravings always seem to win out.
I've also really stopped buying ice cream because I can't control myself around it, and still trying to find the happiness at the bottom of the pint. When I'm emotional and I'm sad, I can't grocery shop.
Audrey was diagnosed with depression. She wondered, was it the driving force behind her obesity or one more side effect? Her back ached constantly. She developed chronic acid reflux.
As a primary care provider, I think about all the comorbidities, the diabetes, the high blood pressure, the orthopedic problems that come along with it.
Mayo Clinic's John Ebert is Audrey's primary care physician. His diagnosis, a food addiction she's likely struggled with most of her life.
I remember, being 8 or 9 and being grounded for something and actually lowering a basket out my bedroom window so my friend Danielle could put candy in it.
As a teenager, bullying added to her body image stress. She remembers one tormentor in particular.
She would often call me cow, and the last time I wore shorts, she asked me if a cow had to try them on to make sure they fit.
Doctors elected to treat Audrey's mental health first with antidepressants and a medication to calm her eating compulsions. She went to private counseling and group sessions. Dr. Ebert prescribed lifestyle changes.
Starting with some basic things like keeping a diet diary, physical activity, food modification, caloric restrictions.
The more I tried, the more frustrated I became.
The problem is dieting is impossible. For this population of patients, that approach just doesn't work.
Good morning. Good morning.
Together, Audrey and her physicians agreed she was a good candidate for weight loss surgery, a gastric bypass.
Bariatric surgery is not an easy fix. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of motivation to be successful and to take that leap.
Mayo Clinic surgeon Todd Kellogg modified Audrey's digestive tract with a 3-hour minimally invasive operation called the Roux-en-Y procedure.
So the first step is to form the stomach, the new little stomach pouch, which is essentially the size of an egg, a small egg. And that we do that by cutting the stomach. Find the bowel and measure it and cut it. Bring one end up and attach it to that little egg-sized pouch.
Now, not only will Audrey have to eat less, only a fraction of her small intestine will be able to absorb calories. She works with a dietitian to carefully plan her meals. The tiny portions put patients at risk for protein, vitamin, and mineral deficiencies.
This is Brie.
Exactly 4 months later, Audrey has lost 64 pounds, down from her surgery day weight of 346. She's nearly 100 pounds lighter than when she first began considering gastric bypass 18 months ago.
If I can get below 200, that would be pretty fantastic.
Audrey's starting to jog again and looks forward to resuming her passion for horseback riding. She says she's also feeling lighter emotionally.
I've limited myself so much because of my weight. I hope it leads me just to live more.
And I remember Caroline getting up and saying, "Mom, I just know today's going to be a great day."
But on the bus ride to school, 4th grader Caroline Simmons' great day turned into a devastating one.
All of a sudden, I started to have this massive headache. It was like a migraine, but worse.
Caroline was having a stroke. Her brain was hemorrhaging. An ambulance rushed her to Mayo Clinic.
I lost the ability to move all of my right side of my body. I couldn't talk because my vocal cords were paralyzed.
It was really frightening, and it's like you suggested, never anticipate something like this, a serious thing like this is going to happen to your 10-year-old daughter.
A multidisciplinary team of specialized experts at Mayo Clinic launched into action. They performed an angiogram that revealed an abnormal tangle of vessels called an arteriovenous malformation, or AVM, in her brain.
And those can rupture and break and cause a hemorrhage.
Mayo Clinic pediatric neurosurgeon Dr. Nicholas Wiegand says the bleeding can then clot, further increasing pressure in the brain.
The majority are left with some type of deficit, although in children, as opposed to adults, they tend to recover quite a bit faster.
Caroline's surgery involved removing the clot along with the tangle of vessels that doctors suspect was there since birth.
Seeing her rolled out of the room after the surgery was kind of a shocker,
That
too.
was hard.
But Caroline, who is now 24 years old and a college graduate, made it through a critical event from which 1/4 don't recover.
I tried so hard to believe that I wasn't going to die.
Still, she remembers the ordeal.
I'm glad that I survived that day. If I hadn't held on, that awful stroke would have killed me. And I would have never met such wonderful friends in the future.
Now, Caroline's appreciation of life is obvious in all she does, even at work in the kitchen.
Chocolate chip cookies.
And even though the stroke left a permanent mark,
everything moves a little bit slower on my right side than my left side.
Caroline's courage is an inspiration to many, an example of strength, optimism, and love.
That's all for this episode of Medical Edge. If you're interested in learning more about any of the stories featured on this program, you can find additional resources by visiting our website and following the link to the Mayo Clinic. Thanks for watching, and be sure to watch the next episode of Medical Edge from the City of Thornton.